Hello everyone, Tom with Capo Fetish. Today on the channel we've got another album ranking, 3 in a row. Wow, this is quite a month. So I'm in that album ranking kind of mode, so I'm just going with it. Today we're going to cover Elvis Costello's discography from 1977 through 1986, basically his Columbia years, before he switched labels to Warner's in 1989 with the album Spike. We're going to cover everything from My Aim Is True through Blood and Chocolate. 9 years there, 77 through 1986. So I'm going to start off here with number 11. And by the way, let's talk just briefly about the Attractions, his backing band, one of the greatest live bands ever to hit the stage. Super tight band, super great in every way, providing Costello with all the right treatments for all his songs. Just an incredible act. I've seen Costello about 5 or 6 times over the years. We've got Steve Neve on keyboards, and we have Bruce Thomas on bass, and we have Pete Thomas on drums. No relation to those two guys. They're both completely different Thomases. So all right, let's start it off here with number 11 from 1984, the album Goodbye Cruel World. For me, a very underwhelming Costello record. I listened to this only a few times, I'll be honest with you, when it first came out. Still have it, obviously. But I find this album very underwhelming. There's just not a whole lot of that amazing songwriting from Costello on this particular record. He sounds like he's kind of run out of gas right here during this period. There are a few tracks I dig, though. One being Love Field. I think that's a really cool track. I Want to Be Loved. Also The Only Flame in Town, but the rest is just kind of unmemorable for me, at least as a listener. So that's why it's number 11, Goodbye Cruel World, 1984 from Elvis Costello. Coming in at number 10 is Punch the Clock from 1983. Kind of like Goodbye Cruel World, doesn't really register with me a lot of the tracks. I love the hit single off here, Every Day I Write the Book. Love Shipbuilding, great track. Even Robert Wyatt did a great version of that back in the late 80s. But the rest of the songs just kind of meander along. I've never really fully been able to grasp this kind of record or feel a kind of connection with this record. Let Them All Talk, Love Went Wild, Charm School, King of Thieves, Pills and Soap. I don't know. Just not one of my favorite Costello albums. Coming in at number 11, Punch the Clock from 1983. Coming in at number 9, his country album from 1981, Almost Blue. I dig this album. I think this is a cool album. I love his version of Hot Burrito Number 1 by the Flying Burritos. He does a great version of that. This is all covers, by the way, all country covers. We have A Good Year for the Roses. That's a really cool cover there. Sweet Dream, Success, Brown to Blue, How Much I Lied. You know, it's an enjoyable listen. I don't play it very often, but I like his foray into country. Costello could really do any kind of genre and make it work. He just has that way of being a chameleon in that way. So for me, this is number 9, Almost Blue, coming in at number 9 from 1981. Coming in at number 8, I know I'm going to get a lot of blowback for this, but I tried to get into this album for years and years. And coming after 3 absolutely phenomenal albums of his career, My Aim Is True, this year's Model, Armed Forces, I found Get Happy very underwhelming. This is coming in at number 8. I know a lot of people, critics love this album. A lot of fans love this album, but I think a lot of these songs are just kind of half-baked. I mean, there's 20 songs on here, and I feel just a lot of them just don't have that immediacy like those first 3 albums. And coming after those 3 albums, like I said, for me, kind of a letdown. Came out in 1980. There are some songs I like on here, though. I love King Horse. For some reason, I love that track. New Amsterdam is a great track. I Can't Stand Up for Falling Down is another great one. A few others. You know, Riot Act is cool, but as a full album, it's always been a tough listen for me. Everything just kind of, there's nothing super memorable for me about this album. They're all very short songs, very slight sounding, not a lot of hooks, not a lot of melody. That's just me. That's the cool thing about music, right? Every different type of music hits everybody different, right? And this one has never been a strong contender for me as one of my favorite Costello albums for some reason. I don't know. And I've tried. You know, it seems like every 10 years I go back and listen to this album and try to just grasp these songs, but they just never hit me in a way like those earlier albums do. So Get Happy for me is number 8 on my list. Number 7 from 1986. He put 2 albums out in 1986. This is one of them. King of America. Great album. Great album here. A lot of just really good songwriting. Brilliant Mistake is one of his greatest tracks. Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood is a great cover. Indoor Fireworks is fantastic. I'll Wear It Proudly. American Without Tears. The Big Light. Sleep of the Just. This is a fine album here from Costello, and kind of a little more in the Americana kind of style of writing. And he would release another one after this later in the year that I think is one of his greatest, Blood and Chocolate. That'll be coming up soon. For me, this is coming in at number 7, King of America from 1986. Here's an album I feel that's really underrated in the Costello canon, and it's 1981's Trust. This is coming in at number 6. I think this is really up there with some of his finest albums of the late 70s, early 80s. Great tracks throughout. Clubland, what a great lead-off track. Lover's Walk, fantastic. Strict Time, Watch Your Step is a great single. This is kind of like, almost like a continuation of like Armed Forces type songwriting. You've got New Lace Sleeves, what a powerful track that is. From a Whisper to a Scream. White Knuckles, Big Sister's Clothes. This is a fantastic album. I'd give this a solid 4-star from Costello. And this is one of 2 albums he would release in 1981. The other one we just covered, Almost Blue. And I think this is the first one that came out in 81. Trust, and then Almost Blue later in the year. But for me, this is coming at number 6. The Trust album from Costello at number 6. Okay, now we're down to the top 5. That was quick, huh? We're down to the top 5. I think this is a great way to end his Columbia albums period. Just about every track I dig on this album. I love this album. Blood and Chocolate from 1986. Right here, even with the hype sticker. I bought this at Moby Discs sometime in 1986. We've got Uncomplicated. I Hope You're Happy Now, one of his best rockers in years. Tokyo Storm Warning, another great rocker. I Want You is just epic, which ends side 1. When I saw him in Thousand Oaks a few years back in 2022, he ended the show with I Want You as an encore. It was like a 10-minute version. He was really playing with the audience, getting really low, and the mix was getting really low, and then it would go up a little bit, and he was doing a little bit of scatting, you know, with vocals and stuff. It was fantastic. And then side 2 is just absolutely stunning all the way through, right? Blue Chair is one of my absolute favorite Costello tracks of all time. That is such a great track. Battered Old Bird is another just fantastic track. Crimes of Paris. Crimes of Paris is my favorite track on this album. I forgot who's singing backup on this. If you do know who it is, put it in the comments section. It's fantastic. Poor Napoleon, Next Time Round. This is a fantastic record. Blood and Chocolate from 1986, coming in at number 5 for me, from Elvis Costello. Coming in at number 4 is an absolute masterpiece. I love this album. There are so many great tracks on here. Imperial Bedroom is coming in at number 4 for me. Produced and engineered by Jeff Emmerich, who famously engineered Revolver, you know, Sgt. Pepper, all those great Beatle albums in the mid-60s. Starting off with Beyond Belief, going into Tears Before Bedtime, Shabby Doll, The Long Honeymoon. Man Out of Time is one of Costello's greatest tracks, just so moving. Those lyrics, God. Almost Blue, and then in Every Home Inside One. This is a perfect side. Side 2's even better for me. The Loved One should have been a huge single. That is such a great, infectious pop song. Human Hands is a personal favorite of mine. I love that chorus, you know. Whenever I put your foot in my mouth and you begin to... Yeah, I love that whole thing. Kid About It, Little Savage, Boy with a Problem, Pigeon English, You Little Fool, Town Crier. A perfect album. This is a 5-star Costello album. It came out in 1982. I have to admit, when I first listened to it, I was a little taken aback. I couldn't really get into it right away, but after repeated listens, this became one of my absolute favorite Costello albums. It's a true classic Costello album. It's very what would you say? It's almost kind of in that kind of pepper style. Just very arranged very well. The way the songs go into one another and all that stuff. I'm not comparing it to Sgt. Pepper, but it just has that kind of sweep like Sgt. Pepper. Very big and bold. So yes, Imperial Bedroom for me, number 4 on my Costello list. Now we're talking about these last 3 albums here. These are 3 of the greatest runs of any albums by any band, especially starting off your career. I mean, albums 1, 2, and 3 by Costello are just really, honestly, 3 of the greatest, not only 3 of the greatest album runs of all time, but 3 of the greatest albums of all time. And it's really hard to rate these 3. I've gone around and around over the years. Sometimes I think a particular one is my favorite of all time, and then it changes around. That's how great they are. But today, here's my top 3 Elvis Costello albums from the 77 through 86 period. Number 3, this year's model. Absolute perfect record. This is the UK version right here, which has, let's see, it has Night Rally on it, and it has, oh my God, how did I forget this? Hold on. Uno momento, folks. 1 second here. Oh, I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea. That is such an amazing track. It was left off the US version. So on this particular version, you get I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea, and you got the album ending with Night Rally. On the US version, you don't have I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea on it, but you have the added single at the very end, the tail end of side 2, Radio Radio. So what do you prefer, the US version or the UK version? I probably prefer the UK version. I love Radio Radio, but I love I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea, and I love the way the album ends with Night Rally. So where do we start with this? You got No Action, right? We've got This Year's Girl. The Beat is one of my absolute favorite Costello tracks. You got You Belong to Me, Lip Service. I mean, and on. These songs are just so well written. And you've got this is the first album with the Attractions on it. The first album had Clover backing him up. This has the Attractions, and they are just on fire on this record. The drumming of Pete Thomas and the bass playing of Bruce Thomas is beyond belief on this album. It's so tight, so tight. Costello's lyrics are so unbelievable on this album. There's really not much more I can say about it, is that it's just an absolute perfect record from start to finish. Some people would rate this number 1. I've had this at number 1 sometimes. I've gone through phases where this is all I have listened to as far as Costello goes. But today it's number 3, This Year's Model from 1978. Number 2, one of the greatest debuts of all time, My Aim Is True. Every track is masterful. He's got the band Clover backing him up. They're kind of like a country rock band. And it's a different kind of backing than the Costello, the Attractions, I mean. You've got Welcome to the Working Week, Miracle Man, No Dancing, Blame It on Kane. You've got the incredible ballad Allison, which Linda Ronstadt did a really good cover of. I think it was on Simple Dreams. And you've got Sneaky Feelings, Watching the Detectives, ending side 1. Still a crowd pleaser today, that track. The Angels Want to Wear My Red Shoes, one of my absolute favorite Costello tracks. Less Than Zero, another favorite of mine, which he ended up playing on Saturday Night Live in '77. He started playing the beginning opening strums of Less Than Zero and said, fuck it, and just broke into Radio Radio. They were never invited back to SNL for like years and years. I think until Mighty Like a Rose came out, he came back to SNL, but he was banned for years because he played Radio Radio instead of Less Than Zero. You got Mystery Dance on here, Pay It Back, I'm Not Angry, and Waiting for the End of the World. This is a perfect album, 5-star all the way. From 1977, My Aim Is True, Elvis Costello coming in at number 2. Well, we don't have to wonder what number 1 is. This album for me, I played this album. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. If I had to make a top 15, top 20 albums of all time, Armed Forces would definitely be in there. Kind of like This Year's Model is more kind of his new wave album, and let's say My Aim Is True is kind of more of his kind of pub rock album. This is his great pop album here. There were some ABBA influences in here and other acts that he was listening to at the time. You got one of his greatest opening tracks and greatest tracks of all time, Accidents Will Happen. What a track, what a track. Those first 3 tracks are amazing. Senior Service, Oliver's Army. The Big Boys, green shirt, Party Girl inside one with that kind of Abbey Road, You Never Give Me Your Money kind of arpeggio guitar lick, which is so infectious. You got side two starting off with the Goon Squad. I remember I used to hear that all the time on K-Rock in the late 70s. Heavily played. Moods for Moderns, Chemistry Class, Two Little Hitlers. And then it ends with Nick Lowe's What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding. This is an absolute masterpiece, pop album, 5-star Elvis Costello album, and my favorite Elvis Costello album of all time. So those are 11 albums Costello did from 1977 through 86, his Columbia years. After this, he would sign to Warner Brother Records, and we put out Spike. That's a really good record. There's other records after his Columbia years that I do dig. I like Spike. I like Brutal Youth. I like the Juliet Letters. I like the one he did with Backrack. Over the past 10 years, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really delved into what he's been doing lately, but I should probably do that. But anyway, that's the video for today, folks. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, just press that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And throw your favorite Costello albums in the comments section. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat about Get Happy, so I'm ready. I'm ready for the Get Happy reviews. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.